Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trading for Beginners. I created this series to kind of help people who are newer to the stock market and trading in general, to kind of help out with terminology and other techniques that we use as traders on a day to day basis. So, in today's video, I want to talk about something that you will hear very, very often in the world of trading, and it is one of the most important, in my opinion, concepts to understand. And you probably know about it a lot already or have heard it used quite often. And what that is support and resistance. So I have a kind of painting app here, and I just am going to use it to kind of demonstrate essentially what support and resistance are. So what support is essentially buyers saying that they have determined that so and so price is a good price for the stock, and this is the price that they're willing to consistently buy at. So it is known as support because when the price does go up, if it does come back down, often it will come back down to that area of value, assuming it has touched there at least twice before or consistently enough to be called support, maybe in the higher time frame or so on and so forth. And conversely to that, we have resistance. And what resistance is essentially buyers saying that they are not willing to pay higher prices for so and so stock. They're not willing to go above a certain point, and so the price drops to meet demand, and it drops at an area, assuming it drops at that specific area more than once, essentially an inverse of support. That is known as resistance. So let me demonstrate exactly what this looks like. So say we have a stock and it goes up. This is the price action right here. It stops right there. It comes right back down. This is a nice clean movement right here. Goes up, comes right back down. Let's say it goes up again, hits here, it comes right back down. It comes up again, and then it hits here. Judging by this pattern, what do you assume is going to happen next? It'd be very easy to make a judgment and say, okay, judging by what I see here, it seems to me like this could go down again because buyers have said that they're not willing to pay higher here twice. And then if it does go back down, where might it be likely to turn around again? Probably down here, right? Probably down there. Because buyers have pushed it back from there once and twice. So it's not crazy to think that it might happen a third time, especially if you almost never see movements as clean, but especially if you were to see movements that are that clean like that, it's almost pretty likely that you would see it reverse again. So now, just going by this picture, what can you say about this and this? What are these called? That is support. Buyers rejecting lower prices and buying. Here and here, the same spot 2 times. And then if it were to come down over here, this would be what's known as a retest of support, assuming this is coming down here. This is called retesting support. Now, it can either fail to retest support, or it can actually bounce off support, or it can go right through support. And oftentimes you will see this break happen the more often support gets tested. If you see very clean movement like this, I'm not saying it's 100% that it won't break it, but you usually won't see that as much with very clean moves like this. But again, so this was support. Conversely, this is resistance. Buyers rejecting higher prices, and so the stock declines. So when you think about it, it really is a buyer's market. Buyers determine the price action, essentially. They determine where the level of support is, where the level of resistance is. But just know that it's important to know that just because these are areas of value right here with support and resistance, it doesn't always mean that if the stock were to come up here, it'll come back down. Conversely, if the stock were to come back here to support, it will go back up. So you can't really make predictions based purely on that. There are certainly other things to analyze, and there are certainly patterns to look out for in regards to both support and resistance. So let's go over some of those now. So say my stock moves like this. We're coming up towards resistance. Let's assume this is a defined resistance. We come up here, it comes back down, right? It goes to, and let's assume that this is a support down here. Let's assume there might have been another touch point somewhere over here. So it's going to retest support. It fails to retest support, and it comes up before it even gets there. So failure to retest support in this fashion is typically pretty good. That's a bullish sign. So this is going to go up and test resistance. It does, and it comes back down. And this time it doesn't even test that low. Instead, it creates another higher low right here. And then it comes up to test resistance. It comes over here. It comes back down again. Fails to hit this low. Creates another higher low. We're seeing the same high because we're coming up here and hitting resistance a lot, but we're creating higher lows. This is very, very bullish. And as a matter of fact, if we were to look at this on a chart, we could kind of bring a line up like this, and it would create kind of a triangle shape. This is known as an ascending triangle, which is a very bullish signal because we're testing resistance very, very often, and we're creating higher lows at the same time. So thus we're essentially decreasing the duration within which we're testing resistance. So the more we test resistance repeatedly, the more likely resistance is going to break. Now, it might not always break, but if you see this ascending triangle formation, it's a pretty good thing to look out for, and it might very well be likely that it will break. Conversely now, I have a stock that goes up, hits resistance, comes back down to support, hits support, bounces, doesn't even get back up towards resistance, comes right back down, comes back up again. It is creating lower highs, and it's coming back down to test support. Along the way, just creating lower highs. So lower highs. What do you think is going to happen eventually here? If we look at this, take a look at what's happening. We can create another triangle shape right here. And this is what's known as a descending triangle. This is a very bearish signal. So what do you think is going to happen here? And if you answered, it's probably going to break and prices are going to go lower and they're going to break support, then you answered correctly. That's probably very likely what's going to happen in this scenario right here. These are just a couple of patterns, honestly, and these are very easy to understand, I think, patterns. They're very, very basic. There's certainly significantly more patterns out there, and I might go over them in a future video, but I just wanted to cover the basics of support resistance, the ascending triangle, the descending triangle. These are very, very, what I feel to be easy concepts to grasp. But let me open up Webull now, and I'll see if I can get a few real-world examples. So we're in Webull now. This is Microsoft on June 3rd, And pretty quickly here, we can see some very clear support, right? We can see a bounce right here, kind of tested again right here, came back up, came back down, tested support again. 1, 2, 3. It's got 3 touch points. Came back up, and then we can see this resistance up here. It's tested right here, tested here, almost tested here, came back up here, false break right here, but then came right back down. And then we saw this support. Actually, we saw a really, really big dip there. But look at where it stopped. It stopped at support, and then it came back up, touched the resistance again, touched resistance again. So resistance is being tested a lot here. Came down, and look at this. Hit support once again. Moving, and then failure to retest, comes back down, breaks of support, coming back up, and it blew past resistance right here and essentially created a new low. Look at this. This is now new support. And this is in extended hours right here, but it would essentially serve as your new support. And it's barcoding a bit, so it's a little difficult to read this. And when stuff's barcoding, I wouldn't necessarily say anything is support, really. Yeah, this was actually a really good example of support and resistance. Granted, we don't have that many touches of the resistance line here, but we do have a lot of touches of support before launching back up. So anyhow, I hope that kind of gives you an idea of what to look for as far as support and resistance is concerned. I feel like they're pretty easy concepts to grasp. Being able to actually analyze the patterns might be a little more difficult, but the ascending triangle and the descending triangle I feel are easy enough to grasp. In a future video, we'll delve into reading what the candlesticks mean. But the descending triangle and the ascending triangle are pretty basic patterns to read. They're pretty easy to understand, I think. So I hope you found that useful. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you learned something today, and I hope I'll see you in the future videos as well. Before we go, just let me say that if you're interested in getting an expertly curated list of weekly stock picks sent directly to your email each and every Sunday, before the market opens on Monday, then consider subscribing to the Stock Crackers newsletter. The prices are incredibly affordable. As little as 96 cents a week for the annual plan. You'll have some trading platforms and some trading channels charge you as much as $30 to $40 a month just for a subscription. Stock Crackers will give you weekly picks for under $4 a month. And not only that, you can try it 14 days absolutely free. Cancel at any time and you will not be charged a penny. So if that sounds interesting to you, subscribe to Stock Crackers today. There is a link in the description. This is Born Bullish, and I'll see you in the next video.